In order to properly restore the constitutional republic, we kind of have to go from the ground up. And I'm not trying to do some type of spinoff of the Biden bullshit. Okay. I'm talking about if we really care about our nation and the government that actually maintains the nation, then the first thing that we must do is make sure the elections are right. And it just seems to me that if the elections aren't right, they're not being uh, managed properly. I believe there's corruption up to here. Uh, let's not talk about, for the sake of this discussion, about payback for the corruption and all that. Hey, listen, we have laws. Once it all comes to fruition, it comes to fruition. But we have to reform this whole situation from the ground up first to have free elections. The way things should be is the way things could be. Pretty easy as far as elections are concerned. Many of us don't trust the Fed. I'm talking about the Federal Reserve, that privately held bank that everybody tends to characterize as a part of our government. Uh, but they do have a system that can be piggybacked off of. Um, and that is to allow free and fair elections to take place in a manner that is pretty much foolproof. You see, although there may be state elections that require you to be a resident of the state, I don't believe that one person should have the right to vote in two separate states, even if it's just on state matters. They certainly don't have the right to vote, more than one ballot in the federal elections. But let's talk about the federal elections first. Everybody has a social security number and everybody can have a bank account. And if there's somebody who can't have a bank account, fix that. Everybody needs to be able to have a bank account, whether you have one or not. You know what I mean? In other words, you should be able to get a voter's card that works at the ATM. And instantly, all of the ATMs are voting booths all over the country. Now, the hardware that's on the ATMs allow to scan dollar bills, and this, they're pretty amazing machines. Actually, there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to go to an ATM, put in our voting card, and cast a vote. It would spit out a ballot to us, a written ballot. Okay, and that ballot is printed to cover the local elections as to wherever that ATM is located, and that ballot is printed for the individual. The individual fills out that ballot the same as you do when you're taking tests. Where you darken out the little dots. That's what you voted for. Now all you have to do is go back and cast that ballot. Put the ballot in the ATM machine, the one that can detect counterfeit dollar bills and all that stuff. Feed it in. The user can see the image. That image is saved, and then it gives an electronic representation of what the image is, just like it does when you put a check in there. It reads it, and then it tells you the typed out values of how much the check was for, and it asks you to confirm it. So once you look at your vote on screen and you see that it matches your ballot, you simply hit enter. Now, what this is going to do is going to put the hard ballot into a bin as currency is put into a bin. It's going to take a copied version, the actual say a PDF scan of your ballot. It's going to store that in a database along with the data. Actually, the The data of your vote is a single record, and embedded into that record is that PDF. Now, with your voting card, just like you log on to myirs.com or anything else, you should be able to go to a computer anywhere in the world and log in to this election system, and you can see your ballot. You can see your vote. You can see that it's actually stored there. If everybody's confirming their own ballots, it's a pretty fast look for if you want to have somebody that's going to do counting, that's fine. They can sit there and count. The ballot pops up. You're counting from a computer screen. You don't get to touch the ballots when you're if you want to count ballots, then count ballots. But you know what? The computer system already knows exactly how many ballots were cast. It already knows who voted for who, even though you don't really know because it's secret ballot. The person who voted can find out because you are the only one that has the information to link your ballot to your data. Everybody can look at their own data, and there is no other data to look at. If the courts need to look into data, they can look right at it. There's only one data, and instantly we know how many voted and how they voted. Instantly. There's no absentee is even needed. If you're from Ohio and you're in California on election day, you're going to go to a California voting booth, an ATM. You're going to ask for your ballot to be printed out. And guess what? You're voting in Ohio. You may be in California at that time, but you're voting in Ohio because that's where you're registered as a voter. And by the way, at that ATM is where you could change where you're a registered voter, or maybe you can do it online. But in either case, the integrity of the elections could be instant. And we haven't lost anything. Everybody's on the same system. It's one federal system, and there's one type of ballot. Now, the ballots may look different from state to state, but the federal, I don't know if it'd be the federal side of the ballot or if you get two ballots. I'm not sure on how it needs to be formatted, but all the federal stuff looks the same with the exception of which representatives you may be able to vote for, because you're voting for people in the district of where you reside. So now that you have elections that cannot be cheated, now, look at some other safeties that can go into that system, such as the collection of the ballots. That's all. Just the physical collection of the ballots. They 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 should be sealed. There's nobody at the bank, nobody that picks those ballots up can even get to them. In the same way like in a magazine, if you have a metal box that holds 5,000 cards, then it holds 5,000 cards. Okay. And that's where they are. And that box cannot be opened by anybody there. They have a truck that comes around and can pick them up and take the ballots somewhere else for archiving or storage or waiting to be physically counted if an EMP or something ruins our data system. We can always resort back to the manual count, but the manual count should be a backup and not the front end of it. And if somebody wants to go through manual counting just to make sure, that's fine. Then that's fine. Their numbers should match with the computer, because the computer, if there's one thing the computer's good at is math, and quite frankly, the computer is superior to a human in math. And there's no reason for delays. There's no reason for any of that stuff. If you're overseas, can you get to an ATM? I'm not sure some of the finer exceptions to the rule, but they shouldn't allow people to vote early. I mean, there needs to be a window of time that the vote needs to be cast, and it's not 2 months in advance. A lot of things happen just prior to elections that might change your mind. and you need the ability to cast the your current vote as intended, not as was intended a couple of months ago, because people do change their minds. Things happen. So I don't know if it's a 2 week window or whatever it is, because you know what? Just about everybody can find their way to an ATM. Now you have elderly people and so forth. If somebody is ambulatory or can't make it, I'm okay with a service, even if it's a government service that literally prints out their ballots and takes the ballots to them and drops them off, and can pick those ballots back up at some other time, and they all just get fed into the system. That's as close to an absentee ballot as there is, and it'd be such a minor number of people that would be qualified to not have to go to one of the ATMs. That it certainly isn't going to swing the vote. If somebody attempts to vote twice, I think you've got their picture. They take pictures. You have facial recognition. If somebody attempts to vote twice, just like when you're going down the road and one of those cameras pick up your vehicle when you're speeding, look, you've just been caught trying to vote twice. All right. Uh, should there be a fine or something for attempting? I mean, first of all, it's not going to let you because your vote has already been cast. But what if there's a problem? What if somebody stole your ID or something? You still wanna you still wanna vote? Okay, well, in that case, you can cancel your vote. If you're still within the window, you cancel your vote, kick in a new ballot and cast it. It it's going to represent such a small amount that this can all be programmed. And keep in mind that it's all backed up with real hard copy uh, ballots. I don't see any reason why a system like that couldn't be put into place, other than they don't want a system like that. When I say they, I'm not talking about the lying, cheating Democrats. Okay. I'm talking about scumbag Republicans too. Okay. Let's not pretend that corruption and dishonesty and criminal behaviors only for one side. We know that there's plenty of it on both sides. But if we could at least get a fair vote, we're on our way. We're on our way to getting rid of the people in Washington that we need to get rid of. Now, there's some other things that I want to tie into later. Things having to do with term limits and such. But first, you have to fit. You have to fix voting integrity first. If you're not going to fix that, the rest of it isn't going to matter. There are things that can be done in the future with respect to people running for office and not having to go through the DNC or the RNC. You know what I'm saying? We have the technology. This two-party system does need to be broken into a wider set of parties. These two parties have done nothing but destroy this nation. Okay, there's some other parties that should be considered. Uh, but anyway, that's my thoughts on voter integrity. And you see, an illegal alien can't get a voter's card. You have to be an American citizen to get a voter's card. No matter what your state says, you have to be an American citizen to get a voter's card. And if you somehow finagle to get one and your face gets, first of all, if your face doesn't get photographed when you're casting your vote is already flagged. It's already flagged for review. But when somebody votes that's not supposed to be voting, we've got their picture, we've got all the evidence. Arrest them. Just issue the warrant, just like you issue traffic violations. Arrest them, and that's the end of it. Arrest them. Now we'll get into the immigration and all that other stuff, but people who aren't Americans, aren't citizens of this country, should not be voting. And that's not just an opinion. That's a matter of law. Okay, it's my opinion that we should abide by the law, and it's my opinion that we can make that law non-negotiable. We can make it inflexible. It doesn't need to be flexible, conservative. It needs to be precise and logical. And there's not a bunch of wishy-washy shit surrounding it. As soon as the elections can be framed with integrity, we can move on to other things. And I would like to seriously discuss those things in another video. In an immense clash of ideology, I bring to you these videos, and I hope you enjoy them. I'm asking you to hit the subscribe button, hit like on the videos. Please leave your comments. If you'd like to post a video of your own on my channel, let me know in the comments how to get a hold of you. We'll make that happen.